get it started. All right. Get it started. Let's get it started. Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Rant. Need a sip of coffee. Welcome into the Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday, round about noon o'clock since 2021. Talk radio for normal Americans. At least that's how I like to call it. Hi, Barney. Barney's first into the chat room. I know it's a noon start. Noon was the way we did the show. Noon. High noon, it used to be called. Every day. And then the last couple of weeks, we haven't done a lot of noon shows. So here we are sneaking in at noon. And Barney, that's it. We got we got April. We got April too. All right. Come on, chat people. You know how sensitive I am. I don't like to start with just like, come on. I need my peoples. I need everybody. What is this show? It's conversation. It's talk radio the way I think talk radio should be done. It's not done this way anymore. Talk radio used to be just, people talking about stuff, being cool, being funny, having, bit of a taking the piss, if you will. I'm watching a lot of British TV, so that's not what it is anymore. Now, talk radio in this country is one of two things. It's a far-right political conservative talk that is just judging you for how you vote or how you think and telling you it's all brainwashing bullshit. Check it out here in Dallas. We got it all over the dial. And then there's sports. That's it. If you want to talk about stuff in American radio, it's that highly charged political talk or sports. And, we do that. We do something that's kind of in the middle of that. Sometimes we dip a toe in politics only because, I'm not judging you by how you vote. But sometimes, current events being what they are, we have to sort of like say, well, I think that's wrong, So that's about as deep as we go in politics. Sports, we do a little bit more. I like sports. I'm a sports nerd. I do consider myself the best sports talker in Dallas. But hey, I talked about tits, ass, and drugs for 10 years in this market. So I can't possibly. I was a shock talker. Shock talk. Anyway, that's why I find myself here every day with you, my good friends of 3 years. We got Peter, we got the GOAT, we got Adam, we got April, we got Barney, and that's it as far as the chat room for this Monday. A lot of people have kids in school. So where I live in University Park, apparently the kids are off again today. Kids were off Friday, because Good Friday, because you got to be off, because public schools, separation of church and state and everything, you got to give them Good Friday off. The fuck? How come nobody ever says, why are we taking religious holidays off? But they did. They took Friday off. And of course, you got to have Easter Monday off, because Easter Monday is now a thing. Easter Monday, that's at least the situation that's happening in University Park. Not in Plano. My kid's going to school. My kid's in school right now. My kid was off Friday, though. I'm like, what are you off Friday for? He goes, Teacher Institute. I go, no, it's not. They just happened to schedule a Teachers Institute Day on the same day as a major Catholic holiday or a major Christian holiday, we should say. Sure, that's it. That's just plausible deniability. They're like, we're going to give the kids off for their religious holiday, even though we as public schools aren't supposed to do that. But we're going to give them off for their religious holiday. And I don't know, we'll call it a Teachers Institute Day, whatever. It's a coincidence that our Teachers Institute Day happens to line up perfectly with a day that our Christian students might be, indulging their faith. But hey, whatever. What do I know? Hi, Jen. Jen is here. Yeah, the Pope watch has ended. That's what Jen says in the chat room. We'll get into that. We'll get into the Pope. That was a wild one. That was a wild thing to wake up to today, because I got to tell you, I had a totally different Pope story I was running with. I was running with, he's back. No, apparently not. I woke up. Change of plans. Change of plans there at the Vatican. We'll get into that. We'll talk about the Pope and all that good stuff. Who else we got? We got Peter here. Oh, that's good that we have Peter here, because this show runs on your gratuities. This show runs on your tips. We don't take advertisers. 3 years strong, we've been getting by just by you people going, you know what? I want to hear another month of that nonsense. And I appreciate you. One of the things that I do like to do, however, is award the title of executive producer. The executive producer of any show is always the person who tipped the biggest on the previous show. And that is why we have our executive producer, Peter. Thank you, Peter. Here's another Peter, you're the best. Thank you. Appreciate you. Here's another thing. Tomorrow, folks, you know this. We do our trivia, right? I've been working on trivia questions. Oh, I got good ones. Tomorrow, trash trivia. Come one, come all. Join me as I host Trash Trivia along with Brandon from Sunbrew. Hey, if my mom's listening, did a new Venmo card come in the mail? I don't know if it's coming there, if it's coming here, but my Venmo card is about to die at the end of this month. They're usually pretty good about, like, if I just call and say, I need a new card, they'll send it to me. But I don't know. I just looked at my Venmo card and I'm like, what? End of the month? You know how, like, you take that stuff for granted, the back of your debit cards or bank cards, where it says, like, you know, because it's always like 5 years in the future. Like, you look at it once and it's like, oh, this expires 4/29. Oh, cool. And then you don't worry about it until 3/29 when you're like, oh my God, this thing is going to expire soon. That's what I'm dealing with. All right. Trash trivia tomorrow night at the back nine. Work on these questions. These are not your average trivia questions. I actually write them all from scratch. I'm a home cooker when it comes to my trivia. I host, walk around on a microphone, make fun of you for being stupid. That's not true. I'm actually more impressed with a lot of the people who get trick questions that I put in there purposely. 4060 Beltline Road prizes. We got like gift cards and gift certificates, and then we got swag. We gave out a whole bunch of stuff last week. He's got like t-shirts and he's got hats from Fatal Clothing and all kinds of stuff. Really fun stuff. Everybody wins when we do trash trivia there at the back nine. So come on out tomorrow. And I'm not kidding, man. I need people to come out tomorrow. We need people to come out tomorrow. If you haven't, you've been like, oh, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. Come out and play a round of trivia. Starts tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Everybody starts getting in there about 7 o'clock. We won't start playing until about 7:30. And yeah, that's it. Trash trivia. So please, man, if you support this show, come out to trash trivia today. I could use the help. It's been fun, though. I mean, it has been fun, but we need... Here's why I'm saying this. I'm worried about weather tomorrow. Oh. So make a plan. Trash trivia, 4060 Beltline Road. Trash trivia. Last week was tax day. This week there might be rain. So we need... Come play trash trivia, man. Come on, chat room. If you've fucking been 3 years, like, we should have a chat room party. Well, I've been doing this every Tuesday night for a month. And, you know, honestly, this chat room party, this mythical chat room get together has never come to be. I mean, some of you come out. We all know about the dueling trivia champs. Look, people from the chat room come out, but we've got two actual champions from the chat room. We've got Bill, who looked unbelievable in the first couple of weeks. And then, of course, April came in and cleaned his clock. But April lives far, and we can't. She does have a title to defend, but she's not going to make it. All right, there you go. All right, trash trivia tomorrow. If you can come on out and help, we'd love to really have a good night. Last week turned out to be a good night, but we were really worried last week because we got there and there was like only a couple players, and we're like, we might have to cancel it. But then everybody showed up. Then the players showed up, and we had fun. But I am a little worried about, 2 weeks in a row with tax night being, well, we don't expect a big crowd because of tax night. And then this week, I'm looking at it and there's like rain. So, come on, man. Rain, bunch of pussies. I'm just kidding. I appreciate you. And look, I also know that a lot of you live far away. And I do understand. All right, that's going to do it. April says, I can make it this week. Have a Ranger game next week. That's okay. This week is awesome. The defending champ is going to be back. That is so awesome. Come on, people. Bill says he's going to return with a vengeance. So that's going to be it. You maybe other chat room people, you can create teams. Like, you can decide, do you want to be on Bill's team or April's team? I don't know. Look, I just want you people to, see each other face to face. Except for Byron and Adam. I don't want you two ever seeing each other face to face, because actually, you know what's funny about Byron and Adam? I bet they would get along, because they're both like normal people in real life. They're both just, chat room trolls, that kind of thing. But they're normal people in real life, at least from what I can tell. All right. I think we've done all we can. How was your weekend? Did you guys have a good Easter? I had the boy all weekend. We did snaps. The boy was injured. The boy had an injury to his ACL, a sprain, I guess. And so he wasn't able to really move around or do anything. And that includes driving lessons. He's learning to drive. He wasn't able to do anything because his leg was in a brace, but he got the brace off. He's He's walking normal. He hasn't returned to full lifting and team activities, as they say, but he is getting back into snap shape. So we went out Saturday. We spent a lot of snap. By the way, also, we went out with E's kid. This is what I love about our two kids. My son is 2 years older than E's kid. And but they're both centers. They both play centers. So it's like, hey, both of you, let's go. I like it because you see, when you got two centers and you're out there working with them, they can just snap to each other. I don't have to remember I told you I ruined my arm. I haven't been able to lift my arm over my head in 2 years since my kids started snapping because I can't. There's a motion. I don't want to explain it. I injured my arm because I'm old. That's it. That's the only excuse. I'm an old man out there trying to use muscles that I haven't used since, senior year. And I'm injured. But that was fun. So we had a good snapping weekend. Everybody was snapping. Everybody's good. They're both so good. They are both really good. All right. And then what else did we do? Made my son watch a movie Sunday afternoon. So, we're not really religious. We're not faithful. Okay. We're spiritual. We have questions. I'm talking about my son and I. We have questions, and we think that, we're open to possibilities, and make a good case, and who knows, maybe we'll join your team. But we're not devout, is my point. So we didn't really make a big deal about yesterday. We kind of just hung out by ourselves. We had come off a big Saturday night. Saturday night was WrestleMania. Oh my God. Yeah, there's a WrestleMania story that I'll get into. Because as it turns out, after Saturday night's WrestleMania, I'm a bit of an expert. That's right. Somebody predicted the winner of WrestleMania Saturday night. This guy. I predicted the winner. I knew who was going to win. Why? Because I understand storytelling. And I understood the whole story, the dynamics. Everybody's like, there's no way he's going to win. I'm like, he's going to win. Trust me when I tell you. All right. So we'll get into that. Now, I wasn't so enthralled with WrestleMania on Saturday that I watched John Cena and Cody Rhodes on Sunday. I didn't. I feel like I let my kid down because I had to take him home Sunday, and he's like, I'm going to watch it. You're going to watch it. We're going to watch it together. And I'm like, sure, we'll watch it together. And then he never texted me, and I never watched it. So I did not watch Sunday nights. Although I do believe John Cena was the victor in that. I would have had that as well. I would have said John Cena's going to win according to my very skilled level of storytelling. We're going to get into this more. I'm going to start watching wrestling with my son because my son loves wrestling. And he's so into it. And it's probably his favorite sport. I know he's a football nerd, but wrestling for some reason at 15 years old is all he cares about. And I love that because I don't give a shit about wrestling. I've never given a shit about wrestling, but sitting there with him, seeing him, and he's explaining it to me, and he's expert. And I'm like, okay, who's that guy? What's his story? And then he goes real passionately, will tell me the whole story. So we had a good time. That said, oh my God, did we fight too? Oh, we fought. We fought because apparently Dad doesn't take anything seriously. And I'm like, kid, we're watching wrestling. None of this is serious. So we'll explain that when we talk about WrestleMania. It's another one of the topics we'll get into today. Peter says John Cena won. Yeah, he did. He won. So did Seth. So did my guy Seth Rollins. My son's guy is CM Punk. And I like CM too. I like Punk. What's his name? Phil? I like Phil. That's what we call him. All right, that's enough of that. Oh, also, so yesterday during Easter, when everybody else was at church, I decided to take my son to a different church. Guess what we watched? That's right. I made my son on Easter Sunday afternoon sit on the couch and watch Apollo 13 with me. We watched Apollo 13. And then when Tom Hanks says, Jim Lovell says, Houston, we've had a problem. My kid goes, he said the thing. And I'm like, yeah, he said the thing. That's the thing. Although, as my son pointed out, it's not what we think it is, right? We think that line is, Houston, we have a problem. That's what everybody mocks that line that Jim Lovell from the Apollo, the famous Houston, we have a problem line. Everybody gets it wrong. It's incorrect. This might be trivia question for tomorrow. What is the actual line? The actual line isn't, Houston, we had a problem. That's not it. Tom Hanks doesn't do the line correctly in the movie. The actual line, and we know this because we watched the documentary Apollo 13 afterwards. The actual line is, Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a problem. Houston, we've had a problem. Okay, it's not Houston, we had a problem. You people get it wrong. Get it right. All right, anyway, that was our day. That's right, Peter. Seth freaking Rollins. I love Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is typical of a lot of Iowa boys. They want to be Chicagoans. So I love Seth Rollins. And anytime you hear a Seth Rollins interview, he's always going on and on about his Bears. He's always going on and on about Chicago food. He loves it. It's one of those, a lot of people in Iowa wish they lived in Chicago. Well, they don't live, they love their Iowa, but they're like, that's their big city. They adopt it as their big city. And we appreciate that because we're tired of the Indiana people adopting Chicago. They are bad people. We in Chicago, we approve of our Iowa brethren and sistren. Not our Indiana people. They can go. People in Chicago would prefer people from Iowa to people from Central Illinois. We don't even want the Central Illinois. They're too much like Indiana. Iowa's more like Minnesota and Wisconsin. They're more like, real Midwesterns. Not Midwestern people cosplaying like they're in fucking Alabama. That we don't understand that. We're like, there's a distinct Midwestern kind of vibe. Iowa has it. What else do I have? Sports Bra says CM Punk is a Chicago guy. He's not just a Chicago guy. He's from Orland Park, my hometown. I know where CM Punk lives. He's in the delivery area for Palermo's Pizza where I worked during the pandemic. We used to deliver into CM Punk's neighborhood, and my kid would be with me, and I'd be like, this is where that CM Punk guy lives. That was before my son was a big CM Punk fan, though. Anyway, CM Punk lives next door to Buddy Guy. I don't know if you know who Buddy Guy is. Buddy Guy, legendary blues musician. Silo Ridge out there in Homer Township, Orland Park. Just look it up if you're so inclined. All right, what do you say we get started? Let's get the show started. We've had enough of this stuff. I feel like we need to get the show started. All right, the show runs in 4 quarters, 4 categories. We start out with a little bit of talk about this day in history, all the things that have occurred, not all of them, some of them. We'll move through them pretty quick. Then quarter 2 comes birthdays. We talk about celebrities, people having birthdays on this day. Do we like them or do they suck? That's what we do. Quarter 3, deads. These are people who've died on this day, and what we like to do is open up their life's resume and determine whether or not we think they ascended to heaven or have been banned to the depths of hell. They died on this day. Where did they go? All right. Still really pushing the Pope stuff. The Pope story seems to be Pope. There's bigger stories than the Pope. I'm just saying. All right, let's get started. Here we go. The first quarter, we call it, what is it? Hold on. Where is it? Now I got to get this. Antecedently on this day. All right, antecedently on this day. This day in history. It is the 21st day of April, the 111th day of the year. That means that there are 254 days remaining until the end of the year. Let's get into the history. On this day in 753 BC, Romulus founds Rome. Romulus founds Rome. Of course, the story of Romulus and Remus. Weren't they put in baskets and floated down, I don't know, let's call it the Mississippi, and they were something about wolves, something. I don't know, Romulus. Anyway, Romulus, of course, would found Rome, and Remus, I don't know, he's got a chain of chicken restaurants there in Italy. Antecedently on this day, 753, Romulus founds Rome. On this day in 1509, Henry VIII ascends to the throne of England on the death of his father, Henry the 5, 6, 7. Is that right? 7. Well, duh! Of course it's the 7th. He's Henry VIII. Oh, sorry. I saw some breaking news, and it wasn't actually breaking news. All right. Henry VIII ascends on this day in 1509. On this day in 1789, John Adams is sworn in as the very first U.S. vice president, 9 days before. So John Adams was sworn in as vice president 9 days before George Washington was made president. Does that mean that he was president for 9 days? Probably not. Probably not. Antecedently on this day in 1789, George Washington's reception at Trenton is hosted by the ladies of Trenton as he journeys to New York City for his inauguration. There you go. Okay, so same thing. On this day, John Adams is sworn in, and also on this day, George Washington is making this, journey to New York. He's stopping and giving speeches. Moving on. Antecedently on this day in 1836, the Texas Revolution, the Battle of San Jacinto. The Republic of Texas, right here. We are proud Texans. The Republic of Texas forces under Sam Houston defeats troops under Mexican General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. That was on this day in 1836, the Battle of San Jacinto. On this day in 1898, a lot of stuff from a long time ago. On this day in 1898, the Spanish-American War. United States Navy begins a blockade of Cuba. Basically the start of the Spanish-American War. We don't know anything about the Spanish-American. I don't know anything. I shouldn't project. You guys might be very knowledgeable about the Spanish-American War. But if you went through American public schools around the same time as I did, you didn't learn dick about the Spanish-American War. Skipped right over it. Skipped right over it. Here's what we learned. Revolution. Revolution was followed by Civil War. War of 1812? I don't think so. No, nothing about the war. We skipped totally over that. So it goes Revolution, Civil War, and then straight to World War I. There is no Spanish-American War. I don't even know who was that between. Well, I guess it's between Spain and America. And then after World War I, we go right into World War II. We spend a lot of time on World War II. And then the very last week of school, when we're all sitting outside, let's hold class outside where you're totally distracted and not paying attention to anything. That's when we learned about Vietnam. And I think that was by design. I think they knew that like a lot of our dads were fucked up from Vietnam. So they're like, let's not spend a lot of time explaining why daddy drinks. Let's go outside. Let's teach them about Vietnam while they're sitting in the bleachers. Let's do that. That was always like the last week of school. All right, we're going to cram Vietnam in. Antecedently on this day in the year 1946, the United States Weather Bureau publishes a paper which stated the width of a tornado from Timber Lake, South Dakota was the largest on record. Timber Lake, South Dakota tornado on this day in 1946 was 4 miles long. 4-mile wide tornado. Oh, that's pretty big. Antecedently on this day in 1952, the very first, we don't even call it this anymore because PC woke bullshit. No, don't worry. I don't blame everything on PC woke bullshit. That's not my thing. I'm just being facetious. Secretary's Day. Secretary's Day was first started on this day in 1952. Today is what used to be called Secretary's Day, but now it's called Administrative Professionals Day because we need to give respect to women. They're more than just Oh, fuck you. Stop it with this. I'm not a secretary. I'm an administrative. Oh, stop being so sensitive and give me a cup of coffee, sweetie. Antecedently on this day in 1952, the very first Secretary's Day, which is now known as Administrative Professionals Day. Antecedently on this day in 1962, the World's Fair opened in Seattle. It's when they got their Space Needle thingy, right? Wasn't that part of that? Remember, that was a thing before the internet. We don't need World's Fair anymore. You know why? Because we got Google Maps. We don't need to pretend that we're in like some foreign country when we're in, Indianapolis. The Indianapolis World's Fair. It's just like you're in China. No, it's not. No, it's not. We got, it's more like being in China, just going on YouTube and watching a China video. World's Fairs are not a thing anymore. They don't need it. We don't need it. The design, the idea behind the World's Fair was to bring culture from other places, to the Western world or to them. And we don't care. They used to be a big thing. They used to be a real big thing. On this day, in 1962, the World's Fair opens in Seattle. They got their Space Needle. On this day in 1977, Annie opens on Broadway. It seems to me that when I was a little kid, there was like a whole shitstorm of like young chick actors, like that were like my age range, maybe a little bit older, but it seemed like they all came from Annie. Right? Then they all come, she came from Annie. She came from Annie. She came from Annie. I'm like, how many fucking Annies are there? Remember, originally it was like Archie Bunker's adopted daughter. Remember her, Danielle Brizois? I think she was like one of the original Annies. And then there was just a whole Punky Brewster was like an Annie or something. There's a whole bunch of Blossom was, oh, she used to be Annie. Okay, whatever. Anyway, Annie opened for the first. That's I've never seen Annie. I shouldn't say anything. Maybe it's good. Maybe, but I think it's for little girls, right? It's a little girl thing. Little girls and gay men. That's who Annie is for. Okay, let's move on. On this day, antecedently in the year 1989, the Tiananmen Square protests of 1989 occurred. I don't remember. Is this the big one where the dude stood in front of the tank? Was that seems like around 1989. Moving on. Antecedently on this day in the year 2014, the American city of Flint, Michigan switches its water source to the Flint River. Flint, they still don't have good water. Remember when their water went to shit? Because they got sold out by the politicians who all took bribes and they didn't care about it. It was awful. It's American, American corruption in a municipal setting where the people actually started getting sick from the water. I don't even know if they still got good water in Flint. Anyway, that's going to do it. They deserve good water, man. You're in America. You should open up anywhere in America. You should be able to turn on a faucet and get potable water. Maybe not. I don't know. Whatever. Let's do birthdays. Buonum, buonum, buonum. They say it's their birthday. These are people having birthdays today. We're going to decide if they're cool or not. First and foremost, out of the blocks, 1932, born on this day, Elaine May. Actress, comedian, director, and screenwriter. Elaine May is a baller. If you don't know the story of Elaine May, Elaine May is a cool story. I don't understand why. I mean, there are legitimate feminist icons out there that are not recognized as being feminist icons. And I am telling you, Elaine May is one of the originals as far as being a woman who was... Okay, so who was Elaine May? Well, I told you, she's an actress. She's not an actress. I mean, I guess she's an actress like in the 60s. I guess she was an actress. Elaine May is a writer. Nichols and Mike Nichols and Elaine May. They came out of the Second City, one of the earliest classes from the Second City in Chicago. One of the founders, I believe. And they would just go on to take the world comedy scene by storm for about 5 years. They were a dude, Mike Nichols, who was kind of like a nebbishy, not really, alpha kind of guy. There was Mike Nichols. And then there was his smoke show girlfriend, Elaine May. And that was the dynamic. She was like this beautiful, elegant, sophisticated, could have been a model type. And then he was like up on stage with her as like sort of his goofy boyfriend kind of dynamic. Anyway, she was incredibly talented, funny, writer, a great writer, an incredible director. I'm telling you, one of my favorite movies of all time that is considered one of the worst films ever made is an Elaine May classic, and it's Ishtar. I love the film Ishtar. Ishtar stars Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty as a couple of spies, reluctant spies who are traveling across the... It's very funny. Anyway, Elaine May, she's a baller. Hold on, let me see if we get some pictures of. Show you some pictures of what she was all about. Let's see here. Nichols and May. All right, we'll get some. This is like classic American comedy education here. All right, here they are. All right, this is what they looked like back in the day when they're... Oh, by the way, also, Rachel Nichols, the sports girl, Rachel Nichols. Yeah, she's Mike Nichols' daughter-in-law. Anyway, there they are. That was them when they were like one of the biggest. I mean, they were like not mass appeal. They were like elite comedy. They were like the critical darlings of comedy. They were reinventing what a male-female comedy duo was. She was the strong one. She was sort of the... Anyway, there you have them, Nichols and May. Look at those nice boobs. All right, Nichols and May. Boring people. Pugs, nobody cares about your deep history of comedy. Hey, by the way, what happened? Where'd the screen go? Did that not share? You guys, did that not share? Hold on. Let me see. See how I do this. All right. Restream's, hey guys, just so you know, Restream's doing something different now, so I can't really share screens. And now I can't get back to me. I can't get back to me. Remove. Yeah, there I am. Now I'm back to me. Hold on. Let me see if this works. All right. So I guess that works. There they are. Boop. And now I'm back to this bullshit. Now I don't have my... What is this? Slides, video, my screen? I can't see my camera. Thanks, Restream. Thanks for changing things again for no fucking reason. I hate Restream. I can't. All right, now we're back. All right. Let's see here. All right, born on this day in 1935, Charles Grodin. We like Charles Grodin. Charles Grodin's comedian. Great straight man. One of the greatest straight men of all time. Born on this day in 1947, Iggy Pop. We also like Iggy Pop. Born on this day in 1948, Gary Condit. Is that name ring familiar? What's going on in the chat room? Is there a fight going on in the chat room? I don't want to have to do a fight. All right. Born on this day in 1948, Gary Condit. You guys remember Gary Condit? What was her name? I always want to say Monica Lewinsky because she looked like Monica Lewinsky, but Gary Condit was the congressman from Northern California who was having an affair with Chandra Levy. Chandra Levy. Remember Chandra Levy? Chandra Levy was an intern for Congressman Gary Condit, who went missing. I think she was found. I think they found her. And I think they charged somebody for whatever. But Gary Condit, who was a congressman, he got raked over the coals for that. Turned out he was having an affair with the girl who went missing. Don't have affairs with girls who go missing. That would be my career advice for anybody. Know whether or not a girl is going to go missing before you have an affair with her, because it destroyed Gary Condit's life. Born on this day in 1951, Tony Danza, American actor and producer. Danza. Tony Danza got a shout out in, was it last night's Righteous Gemstones, or was it the one from last week? But it was a flashback to Jesse as a teenager. Jesse knocked up his wife. I didn't know that. Jesse and his wife, that family they got, started out in sin. Jesse knocked up his wife, and they were teen. You know, she was like a teen mom. And Jesse was explaining to the family what he was going to name his soon-to-be-born son, who we know is Gideon. If you watch the show, we know that Gideon is the name that he went with. But he announced to the family that he was going to name his new son Stallone Gemstone. Stallone Gemstone. And then the family was like, you ain't naming no child Tony Danza Gemstone or whatever the hell. So Tony Danza got himself a shout out on the Righteous Gemstones. Tony Danza Gemstone. I think that's a good name. All right. Born on this day in 1951, Tony Danza. Born on this day in 1959, Robert Smith, English singer, songwriter, and guitarist. That's right. I'm going to tell my Robert Smith story. I was backstage doing stage announcements for Q101 Jingle Bash back in like 1998. It was our big Christmas show. And backstage, they had a bunch of dressing rooms because it was a big bill of bands. We had The Cure, we had Duran Duran, Sarah McLachlan, 311, Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray had sex with one of our DJs in a bathroom. It was very, very classy. But so the two main headliners were The Cure and Duran Duran, and they had these two doors to their dressing rooms, and there were little stars on them. One said, there was one star for The Cure. That's right. The star was on the door of The Cure's dressing room. Right next door to it was Duran Duran. Duran Duran did not have the star. Now, they were switching off who would be the headliner and who would be the co-headliner on this tour. So one night, Duran Duran would have the star on their dressing room, and the next night, The Cure would have the star on theirs. So at this night in Chicago, The Cure had the star on their dressing room. And I'm standing backstage, and I'm just talking with some friends and all of that. And my wife at the time is there, and we're all having a good time, enjoying, the free food and cocktails and all of that. And all of a sudden, out of the Duran Duran dressing room, the door bursts open, and one of the Duran Duran guys, let's say a tailor, One of the Duran Duran guys walks over to the Cure door, rips the star off the Cure's door, bangs furiously, walks back to his Duran Duran room, puts the star on their door and closed the door, right? And we're like, ooh, what's that? We're watching this. We're like, ooh, what's that? Out of the Cure's door comes Robert Smith, our birthday boy, lead singer of the Cure. Comes out. He's in a bathrobe. His hair is in curlers. It's the greatest thing. He like swings the door open, and somebody who was with us like, "Hey, you took your star." And then Robert like looks at the star, and he's like, "Ugh," and he huffs and he slams the door. I don't know if it's a bit that they were doing, but it was fun for us. We got to watch it. Happy birthday, Robert Smith! You're a dude. I love the Cure, but it's just the sight of Robert Smith in a bathrobe and like with his hair in curlers. It was great. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. Born on this day in 1959, Robert Smith. Born on this day in 1980, the great Tony Romo. Tony Romo! How many dogs in this town are named Romo? I know two. I know two dogs named Tony Romo. They both go by Romo because I think two names is difficult for a dog. But yeah, there you go. Tony Romo, born on this day in 1980. All right, let's go into quarter three. These are the deads. These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. Let's decide, where did they go, heaven or hell? Dead on this day. Yeah. I don't know enough. I honestly don't know enough about this guy, and I should know more about this guy. Dead on this day in 1910, Mark Twain. From Oklahoma, right? Like, I think all I know about Mark Twain is that Mark Twain overpass where they have the McDonald's there, right? Where Oklahoma meets Missouri. You ever drive? Well, if you don't drive up to Chicago, maybe you don't go that way. But there's like this really elaborate McDonald's overpass. It's the Will. Oh, is it the Will Rogers? That's the Will. I don't know the difference between Will Rogers and Mark Twain. I'm just realizing. All right, we're going to put him in hell. All right, we're putting Mark Twain in hell. I don't know enough. And I assume a man of that era. He died in 1910. Means he was getting into some 1880s nonsense. He's probably in hell. All right, we'll just leave it at that. Mark Twain goes to hell. Dead on this day in 1910. Dead on this day in 2003, Nina Simone, American singer, songwriter, pianist, activist. Do you know what this is? I'm going to be honest with you. This is a white man thing. I don't know who Nina Simone is, but I have friends who are not white men who like, I know a girl who's got this like Nina Simone t-shirt and she wore it once and I'm like, who's that? And she's like, you don't know who Nina Simone is? I'm like, I don't. And in that moment, I felt bad. I felt like I should know who this person is, but I didn't. And I felt bad. So I carry that with me. So Nina Simone, you got to go to hell. Gotta go to hell, Nina Simone. It's not my fault I don't know who you are. Okay? Apparently you were important. There's a lot of people who are like, no, she's important. And I'm like, well, made me feel bad when I didn't know who she was. So sorry, Nina Simone. Dead on this day in 2003. Get in line right behind Mark Twain or Will Rogers or whoever it is. I'm not sure. Get in line, Nina Simone. You're going to hell. Watch she was like angelic. Watch she was like perfect and I don't know. I got to make a choice, though. She was in the entertainment business, and she was an activist. So let's just say I got to stay with her going to hell. I don't know enough. If I put Mark Twain in hell because I don't know enough and I think the worst of people, then, Nina Simone's got to go to hell here. Here's somebody who I do know quite a bit about, and he died on this day in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, Prince Rogers Nelson. Prince died on this day in 2016. That's one of the big ones, right? First of all, preemptively, fuck you. He's going to heaven because he's Prince. Because he was wild and he was fun and he filled the world with amazing music that I can't tell you how many good times I've had to Prince music. And that counts for energy into the universe. So therefore, he's going to somewhere good. Come on, man. You know what I love about Prince? Again, this is another one of those situations where no bullshit, doesn't have any garbage altering his perception, doesn't know what people think, doesn't know what cool people think, doesn't know what nerd people think on this. My 15-year-old son just loves Prince. He's like, this dude is badass. I'm like, yeah, he is. And I'm glad that you completely unfiltered can get that. Prince is going to heaven. Prince died on this day in 2016. Born on 1958, man. That's He was young, man. Prince was like in his mid-50s. Fucking drugs. So stupid. He's not even a drug guy. Like, Prince was not even a drug guy. Prince was a sex guy. Prince was like, you told me Prince dies of AIDS. I'd be like, yeah, probably. I can see that coming. He seemed like he engaged in a lot of risky behaviors. But drugs? I didn't see that coming. All right. Prince, I'm putting you in heaven because I like you. All right, let's do this. One more time, I want to thank our executive producer. That's right, our executive producer of today's show is Peter. He tipped the most. Peter, if you tip the most on any given day, the next day you get to be the executive producer. There you go. Thank you, Peter. And if you are so inclined and you're like, hey, I didn't know, I want that title, you can drop a little something. You can tip the show anytime. Here you go. Venmo, Cash App. Cash App. Let's focus on Cash App because I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to have. I'm kidding. Venmo, Cash App. It all goes to the same place. Thank you very much. Bank accounts are bank accounts. So there you go. Barney's advocating for Mark Twain, who I said I didn't know enough about, so I put him in hell. Seems only fair. I think it's easier to go and retrieve someone from hell and go, how'd you like to come to heaven for a while? I think it's easier to do that than to go to someone in heaven and go, you're going to hell now. Because in heaven, everything's perfect and everything's great. So nobody's going to do anything bad that's going to get them in hell. You know what I mean? But maybe you could be a rebel in hell and be, I don't know, whatever. Barney's got some hot takes, though. He says, Mark Twain is a national treasure. The man is in heaven. Is he? I don't know. What do you do? Tom Sawyer? That's not even a book. What is like what is the book? What is the classic piece of literature? It's the classic piece of literature is it The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, from which somehow Tom Sawyer became the Fonz. He became like the breakout. I use that analogy because Happy Days was designed to be Ron Howard's star turn. And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, hey, who's this Fonz guy? We're not interested in the boring, skinny redhead. We want the Fonz guy who lives over the garage, and we're all pretty sure is having sex with the redhead's mom. He was. Mrs. C and Fonzie were hooking up when everybody was gone. You know that. Anyway, I don't know. That's my take. And it's a bad one. So it's a dumb one. All right, let's keep going. I mean, what else did he do? What else did Mark Twain do? I know it's an easy Google, but isn't it fun to see how stupid we are in the moment? Like, what else did Mark Twain do? He ain't Shakespeare. He's got one book. He's got one book and there's like a bunch of N-bombs in it. Like, I don't understand why Mark Twain is considered. Will Rogers, I'm starting to think about it. Will Rogers is actually, I think, more important than Mark Twain. But I don't know. National treasure, says Barney. All right. Mama B's helping me out. She says, yeah, it's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. That is the book that Mark Twain wrote, right? Yet for some reason, it seems like Tom Sawyer is the bigger star than Huck Finn. Who's Becky Thatcher? And the other main character, I don't even want to say, because the other main character, you can't even say his name. His name is Jim. There's a very inappropriate description word before Jim in the book. Begins with an N. All right, whatever. I don't know. And look, I know. I gotta read the book. I don't know. I've never read the book. I've never watched any Huckleberry Finn shows. Like, there's a whole bunch of those shows. To me, that was always old-timey stuff, and I wasn't interested, right? I'm 8 years old. I'm reading To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm, Fahrenheit. I'm going deep on Vonnegut. I don't want some old-timey hillbilly kids on a raft floating the Mississippi. That doesn't sound interesting to me. Anyway, some people like him. Not this guy. This guy doesn't know enough about Mark Twain. Maybe I would like him if I read him. I don't know. I think I used to have a similar take, like back in high school. I used to always make. Okay, so I dated a girl sophomore year who was really into Shakespeare, and I used to make fun of Shakespeare. But then later in sophomore year, I took a Shakespeare class, and I really got into it. So maybe that's how I feel about Mark Twain. Maybe if I just learned more about Mark Twain, I might be less, dismissive. of his works. I'm putting all this off because I don't really want to get into all the topics today. We got a bunch of, first of all, we're going to start out with some downer topics, which I don't know how interested I am. All right, let's see here. First topic, let's do this. It's the stock market. And let me tell you, stock market, well, hold on. Before I say anything, it's been terrible all day. Let's see where we're at. Oh, for fuck's sake. All right. All right. Wow, we went deeper than I thought we would. All right. So the stock market is currently on this Black Monday. We're going to call it. Stock market is down 1,230 points. That ain't good. I'm not again, I was given a little cheat code to, as a amateur stock market watcher, right? I'm not Mr. Well, you got to play. I'm not Mr. I'm not going to give you any tips. I don't know anything about it. But it was explained to me once by someone who was very smart. She said, look, as a pedestrian sitting on the sidelines, here's what you got to look at. Don't get freaked out by momentary drops. Don't get freaked out by a 500 decline in one day. You can make it back the next day, right? Pay attention to the cumulative number. What is the number? What is the big number? Now, when we started this whole fall, we were at 45, okay? The stock market in December, heading into the Trump inauguration, in December was at 45,000. That's cumulative. And what are these? The top 30, right? These are, so the accumulation is the top 30, or the Dow Jones is the top 30 biggest companies, right? So that's the average. We're figuring out what's happening with them. So it was at 45,000 in December. That was the high. The all-time high for the American stock market, 45,000. That is roaring. Now, I always try to put this into perspective for you. So here, I'll give you this example, okay? So I pulled this up from Investopedia just to show you over time what the stock market has done and when we should begin to panic. Everybody's panicking now, but that's a lot of that is media fueled. So let's just see. Remember, it's about the strength of the market is about the cumulative wealth of the top 30 companies, okay? So when I give you the cumulative number, which is 45, that was the high, right? That's the all-time high. So let's go through some of this. Let me just show you, for example, how during certain cornerstone moments in American history where the market was and whether it was considered strong, robust, or in decline, okay? So right now, the market is dipped below 37. All right. That's, I told you a couple of weeks ago, I said, let's see if it gets below 35. If it continues to slide and all of a sudden we're under 35, yeah, now we got real problems. And now people should probably start panicking unless they can turn it around. But even at 35, that is robust. 35,000 is only a nightmare because we were so happy with 45. But there was a time when 35 would have been, I'll give you an example. Okay, so key takeaways. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is one of the most followed equity indexes. It tracks 30 large cap, well-known companies that trade on the U.S. Stock Exchange. Okay, so it is 30. The Dow hit its record high. So the highest the American stock market has ever been was on December 4th, 2024, when it closed at just over 45,000. Okay, now remember, here we are in April, or coming up on May now. We're in April, and it's down to 37. Okay, so it's in December it was 45. Now it's 37. All right, so here's a brief. Let's see. Let's run these down. So in 1933, let's start in 1933, right? The largest one-day gain occurred during the market turmoil of the 30s when the Dow increased 15%. It was up 8%. 8 points across. So in 1933, the market is currently right now in free fall and it's at 37,000. In 1933, the Great Depression wiped everything out. It was at 1,500. So in 33, when everything got wiped out, people were still making money. The rich were still all involved in stock market, and America was a roaring, booming economy right up until it fell apart. But it was only at 1,500. It's at 37,000. Today. It was only at 1,500. That was in 1933. Okay. 1987. Maybe you remember this one. I was in high school when this happened. This was the other Black Monday. October 19th, 1987, the day of the Dow's largest one-day drop. came to be known as Black Monday. It fell 22%. The crash remains a mystery, although programs, it doesn't say how much. Okay, so a 22% drop. It doesn't give me the number. In 2017, the Dow closed above 20,000 points. So in 2017, the roaring market was 20,000 points, okay? The Dow crossed 20,000 in 2017. It's only 2025, and we've more than doubled that. So think about the rich who got so rich between 2017 when they were roaring and setting records at 20,000. We were at 45,000 in December. So everybody talking about how everything's going to fall apart. No, what's simply happening is the greedy aren't getting as much as they were. These companies are still soluble. We're still a robust market. It's just that we were obscenely wealthy, or at least the 1%, as I like to call them. There, 2017, it was at 20,000. Okay, that's only 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. 8 years, it doubled. Let's see here. Then we got to 2020, right? So 2020, the Dow returned to its pre-pandemic high. So we rebounded from the pandemic losses. In 2020, we were at 29,000. 29,000. Remember, a couple of months ago, we were at 45, and that's only 4 years. So that's a pickup of 15, 16, 17,000 points for the market since the pandemic. That is roaring. That is people making money hand over fist. All right, that was 2020. Okay. Oh, now November 24th, that was 2020. November 16th, the Dow went to 29, but then on November 24th, just a week later, it went up to 30,000 points. So it crossed 30,000 points in 2020. In 2024, May 16th, the Dow surpassed 40,000. So just last May, during the terrible Biden economy, I don't know. I just have to throw that out because the president has nothing to do with this shit, but somehow you people like to assign blame to presidents. But okay, so there we were. May 16th, the Dow went over 40,000 for the first time. Then September of 2024. September, so just a couple of months ago. No, I'm sorry. It was, September 27th, 2024, the Dow hits a record 42.6. Then in October of 2024, the Dow moved even higher to 43, culminating with the Dow's all-time high, December 4th, 2024, 45,000. Okay, so that's where we started, at 45,000. But we know that, the greed-rich 80s, right? The market was flourishing in the 80s. Wall Street and all of that, and greed is good and all that. The shit wasn't even at 20,000 back then. It's at 45 just a couple of months ago. So we're not heading towards a depression. I mean, look, if this continues to slide, yes, absolutely. Like if we start to get below adjusted for inflation, I think the number they said was, anything under 28 at this point is going to be cataclysmic. But we're not there yet. We're at what, 30? Oh, did I lose my eagle? I can't lose my eagle. Hold on, I gotta fix my eagle. For some reason, you know what I'm gonna try and do? I'm gonna try and just get our Radio Misfits logo back there. Figure out a way to do that. Look at that, you're right in the middle. For some reason it doesn't. It's just that. For some reason, my eagle is supposed to be good for an hour. At 33 minutes, it just decides to. I don't know why it does that, but it does that. All right. The Dow consistently hit new highs during the 2010s. It's the longest bull market in history. Yeah. So when we started minting all these new billionaires off of bullshit investment schemes. Anyway, so don't panic about the stock market, okay? Just don't. I mean, maybe, I don't know, be concerned about who you're investing with. Because, you might be with some shady dudes who got you in some stuff that's going to tank your 401ks and all that. But I don't know. All right, where are we now? Let me see. What is a couple minutes ago? We were at 1,200. Now we are edging. We're 1,275. So we are down. The stock market is down 1,200 points, almost 1,300 points today. 37.8 is where the cumulative market is. 37.8. Like I said, 35 consistently. If we got to 35, I think I said by June. Didn't I say June? I think I said, look, if at June we're around 35 and still dropping, maybe we panic then. It does seem like we're getting closer to 35 way before June. And by the way, I don't know this stuff, right? So obviously when I said June, that's because I heard a guy wearing a suit on TV who, works for one of these things who said that, and I'm just parroting it back to you. But this is happening a lot quicker. 37.8. 37.8 is where we are. Okay, there you have it. That's the stock market. We're going to move on from that because we're not stock market people. If I had a couple stock market people, maybe, we don't have stock market people on this show. All right, let's talk about this. The Pope is dead. Pope is dead at 88, which is wild, which is so wild because I have to tell you, when I went to bed last night, I had a couple of stories. Like I put all the stories together the day up, but there are a couple that I'm like, okay, we got to check in on this. We got to check in on that. Like I knew that the stocks were probably going to be a story today. So I had stocks penciled in at the top. And then I had the Pope. I had the Pope right there because the Pope shocked the world. He came out on Easter Sunday and St. Peter's there. And he was like, I am the Pope. I am still alive. You can't kill me, motherfucker. He was like, did that whole thing. And the whole world was like, it's a miracle. It's a Papa. Papa! They were all screaming. Did you see him? People were going nuts, man. It's like the return of Oasis. People were like totally into it, and he shocked the world. He wasn't supposed to be there. There was going to be some retired cardinal who was supposed to give the thing, and the retired cardinal did give the full thing. I guess they call it a sermon. But the Pope came out, and the Pope was like, "Hey, look at me." And then last week, we hear that he was like moving around the Vatican. Hell, there was a report that he was shooting hoops in the driveway. He was feeling better. 5 weeks in the hospital, battling double pneumonia at 88 years old. They let him come home. And look, he's going to be home for Easter. They sent him home to die. And they didn't tell us. They didn't tell anybody. I think the plan was... Pope, save just enough in your tank so you can do one last Easter thing and then go ahead. Because that's essentially what happened. We were all led to believe it was a miracle. We were all led to believe this guy's rebounding. Rally and boot. That's what Pope Francis says. Then I wake up this morning, put on the TV. It's like, Pope Francis died last night. I'm like, what? What? All right, let's check him out. This was the Pope yesterday. I got to be honest. Doesn't look all that healthy, but, he came out and he did the thing. He did the thing that popes are known to do. All right, let's see here. See if this works. It's probably not going to work. Oh, yeah, look at that. It does work. Okay. All right, let's watch the Pope. Here he is yesterday. This dude would be dead in hours. In hours, this dude would be dead.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buona Pasqua.
E con la preghiera i cristiani dell'amato medio
e figli e Spirito Santo.
All right, let's be honest. He did not look good, okay? He did not look good. Struggling, as Joe Namath might say. Anyway, the Pope is dead, 88 years old. So now we get a new Pope. Now we get the Conclave. Did everybody watch Conclave? Did you see that movie? It's really good. It's really good. And I've been chomping at the bit now to talk about the M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong type ending to Conclave that absolutely nobody saw coming, which is why it's like such a crazy cool movie. Conclave, I would watch that. Conclave is the Oscar-nominated film from a couple of months ago. Stars, I don't know, John Lithgow's in it. He's really good. Ralph Fiennes is in it. Isabella Rossellini. It's a conclave is the gathering of the cardinals after a pope dies. So this kind of shows you how the sausage is made. It's so if you're at all interested in what happens next, who becomes the next pope, well, this is the movie for you, and it's got a twist ending. Now I wonder. See, was raised Catholic. So all the voodoo and all the mysticism and all the legends and what everything is really about, all that stuff is steeped in my understanding of my family's ancestral faith. So I thought, I might be more interested in conclave than non-Catholics or people with no familiarity with Catholicism, because it's all very creepy and interesting to me. And I enjoyed it on that level. I enjoyed it as a Catholic. I'm like, yeah, this seems like how it's done. A bunch of corruption, a bunch of people backstabbing each other, a bunch of cardinals, double dealing and all of that. It was very political intrigue, run amok. It's very interesting. I enjoyed it. But then the ending, when I'm like, I was like, you know what? Even if you're not Catholic and you don't understand the first 2 hours of this movie, that ending is going to make it all worth it for you. You're going to be like, oh, I never saw that shit coming. Conclave is good. Conclave is very good. Al says, awesome movie, shocked at the end. Yeah, the ending's like, what? What? Well, what do we do now? What does the Catholic Church do now? Holy cow. Anyway, Conclave, very good movie. I didn't want to talk about this, though. Here, is this... Who's next? All right, so they got a list here of who could be next. And guess what? We're not going to get an American Pope. We'll never have an American Pope. They don't respect the American Catholic. Did you know Francis was actually the first Latin Pope? And I would think that Latin popes would be like, pretty much all we're going to get from here on out. Because, Catholicism is pretty big in Latin countries. And those people have a lot of kids. And, so the faith is growing by leaps and bounds. So Pope Frank, he was, of course, from Argentina. Where's the other guys who are up here? I want to give you the list of people they think could be the next Pope and where they're from. All right, whatever. I guess we're not going to have that. Doesn't matter. We don't know any of these names. Here's the point I'm trying to make. Not a single American cardinal is in the running to be the next Pope. Not a single one. You would think that, just to keep people happy, that they'd throw in maybe a Cardinal Dolan from New York or maybe a Cardinal Blazkowicz from Chicago, one of the big archdioceses. But no. Once again, we're getting another Pope. And there's no chance it's going to be an American. Here's who I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be an Eastern European one. There's a whole bunch of not Yugoslavian, but there's a whole bunch of Ukrainian dudes. I think a Ukrainian Pope might be in the offering. I think they're going to hope for a Ukrainian Pope to do what JP2 did for Poland and Eastern Europe, fighting the Iron Curtain and all of that. Anyway, long story short, no American Pope. We're not going to get an American Pope. Also, there was no, I didn't see any Latin American popes in the running. And there's always, the last couple of years, there's been there's some dude from Poland, some dude from Ukraine, some dude from Crimea, some dude from far Eastern Europe. It was all Eastern European. Oh, and then there's a dude in Italy. There's an Italian dude. Did you know that popes were always Italian? Until JP2, until John Paul II in 1980. He was the first non-Italian Pope ever. Ever. Popes were always Italian, and then they went and got the Polak. They went and got the JP2. And then since then, I don't think we've had an Italian Pope, because we had JP2. He was Polish. Then we had Cardinal Ratzinger, who became Benedict, and he was a German, remember, Nazi? He was the Nazi Pope. And after him, we got Francis, and Francis was Argentina. So after 3 consecutive non-Italian popes, my money's going to be on the Archbishop of Rome. No, that is the Pope. The Pope is the Archbishop of Rome. Who's the cardinal? Some cardinal in Rome. I'm going to say that's going to be him. All right. Oh, there it is. Never mind. I just found the story I was looking for, because I didn't title it Next in Line. I titled it Pope Draft. All right. Here we go. Let's run through some of these really quickly. Okay, who are some of the candidates to be the next Pope? Cardinal Peter Erdo. He's from Budapest. See? Hungary. Cardinal Reinhard Max. He's from Munich, Germany. Cardinal Marc Ouellet. He's, that's a good one. Here we go. Western world. This is the one. Okay, Marc Ouellet is up to be Pope. He is the Cardinal for Montreal. Montreal. He's up there in Canada. That's the closest we get. Cardinal Pietro Parolin. This is the guy I was just trying to think of. He's Italian. He's one of the top dudes in charge in Rome, as far as like not see, it's hard being like the cardinal of Rome, or being like the top Catholic priest in the Roman archdiocese who isn't the Pope, right? That's like because the Pope lives in Rome. There's nobody bigger than him. So it's kind of like being the mayor of Washington, D.C. You know what I mean? It's like you're the mayor of Washington, D.C., but there's also a president right there. So you're not really. I think that's kind of like how the Italian guy is. Who's this? Cardinal Robert Prevost from Peru. There we go. There's a Latin American one. Cardinal Robert Prevost from Peru. Cardinal Robert Serra. Wasn't he just the coach of the Jets? Is it Robert Serra? Cardinal Robert Serra of Guinea. Oh, is he a black guy? Black Pope incoming. African Pope. I don't want no African Pope. Don't want no African Pope. Oh, you're being racist. No, I'm not. It has nothing to do with race. It has entirely to do with Nostradamus. Nostradamus predicted in like 1502 in one of his quatrains that a dark pope from the dark continent would rise and usher in. He said it. Nostradamus said it. That's why I don't want no African popes. Has nothing to do with color. Got another dude from Vienna, Austria. Cardinal Christoph Schofborn. He's from Austria. Cardinal Luis Tegel from the Philippines. Yeah, got to get the Filipinos involved, man. Southeast Asia, like that whole area, all those islands, man, a lot of Catholics. I know because where I grew up in the Chicago area, everything is very segregated in the Chicago area. So you stay in your neighborhoods. And although the Chicago area had Asian people from all over, they all stayed in their own neighborhoods. Like where I lived, the only Asian people that I knew, and they were everywhere. It was a big Asian community. The only Asian people I knew were Filipinos. Because I had the Filipino community, and they are all Catholic. You go a little further north, you get the Chinese community, and then, on the north side, you got a Korean community, and then Japanese, and it's all segmented. They all stay. So I knew Filipinos. They were all Catholics. So I could totally see a Filipino cardinal. All right, that's it. Those are your choices. And also Kamala Harris. She's Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are also running for Pope. See if that works out better for him. Fuck! Can't believe I got to do this now. Can't believe I just had fun with the death of a spiritual leader to billions of people. And now I got to transition into a serious topic. This is a serious topic. All right, so I want to talk about Austin Metcalf. I want to talk about Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony. All right, we're going to kind of get a little serious here now. So Austin Metcalf is, of course, the 16-year-old kid who got stabbed to death a couple of weeks back at Kuykendall Stadium up there in Frisco. He was attending a track meet, high school track meet. Whole bunch of schools from the district were invited to attend. And before the meet started, as the teams were all mingling about, something went down, and 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony from another Frisco school ended up stabbing to death 16-year-old Austin Metcalf. Okay, that's the story. Now we can react to those details any way we want. We should be saddened. We should be upset. But here's what we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be fucking using this as just another tool in our bag to keep us all separate. Those divisive things that I talk about all the time that we seem to gravitate towards. It's like if it's, that could be divisive. Let me go to do that. We don't know anything yet. Yes, it seems terrible. It's a horrifying thing. I've got a kid who plays sports up in that district. I don't like to think that these are the kinds of things that these kids are capable of. But then, hey, Frisco, bunch of rich people up there. This kind of shit happens there, can happen anywhere. So it's more of an indictment against who we are as a society, and somehow why our young people are so inclined to this level of violence. I mean, it's a horrifying, that seems from what I understand about this story, there may have been some kind of disagreement about something. I don't know. I don't know who Austin Metcalf was. I don't know who Carmelo Anthony was, and neither do you. And if you're reading shit on Twitter and you're, oh, he was a gang member, just fucking shut up. No, you don't. Stop it. We have due process in this country. If this is as horrible as it looks and we all think it's just callous and cold and awful, if it's like that, it will be adjudicated properly. Okay? Dude, we'll find out. Let them do the investigation. Let's figure out what this was about. I'm hearing such bullshit from both you people on the right and you fucking people on the left. You just shut up, okay? This is not the new battleground here in North Texas. What side are you on? You know what I'm on the side of? I'm on the side of making sure that kids can go to a track meet and not get stabbed. Well, he's not the one problem, okay? If you want to put it all on Carmelo Anthony and, he is the guy who did it, so that would seem he is not the only problem. This is a much larger problem about our fucking kids. I'm a big advocate for this new generation. I love this Gen Z. They seem far more innocent. I've got one. I see him with his friends. They don't seem far more innocent. They are far more innocent. This is the strangest generation. This generation seems to be, when you're 15, it's like you're 11. My kid is 15 years old. He's popular. He gets good grades. He's got a whole bunch of friends. They don't go to parties on Friday nights. They don't ride around in cars or hang out at the arcade or in front of the 7-Eleven. They stay in their homes and they hang out in chat rooms on shit like Discord. So I am not here trying to indict an entire generation, okay? I just think it's a different generation. And I wonder if all of this lack of real social skills, because my son is not awkward. My son can be gregarious and charming and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, he doesn't seem to be as savvy. He doesn't seem to be as streetwise as maybe everybody else I knew when I was his age. There is an innocence. There is a naivete that I think has taken over this generation that we haven't seen in a long time. And I believe that the naivete is because they lack actual human interactions with strangers in the way that we did. We interacted with people all the time. We understood that there were ramifications for the way that we interacted, right? You want to talk shit to that kid from the other school at the arcade? You don't know that kid, but look at his football jacket. He wrestles and he plays football. Maybe shut your fucking mouth. You learn skills. You learn how to survive. And I don't know that this generation that is now just in their bedrooms all the time, hanging out with their friends, and that's the argument. I am hanging out with my friends. I'm like, no, you're really not hanging out with your friends. Sure I am. And I know this because WrestleMania was happening. And instead of, when I was a kid, if we were really into WrestleMania, we'd all be in somebody's living room watching it together. He watched WrestleMania Saturday night with a whole bunch of his friends. They were in a chat room and they were shit talking and there was no ramifications for anything that they said. And I just think that over time, as that becomes your process of how you interact with your peers, you lose certain skills that other people had. Now, I'm not saying that that's why you got this guy. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, I'm trying to understand the generation. It seems like an insane overreaction. It seems like there is a narrative out there that wants you to believe that this Carmelo Anthony guy just came out of nowhere and started stabbing this innocent, beautiful young man. I don't believe that. I believe that these were two alpha dudes who were probably too close to each other in a situation where they shouldn't have been, and jawing began, and then, a fight started. And now is where I start to interject the differences between previous generations and this generation. I don't think this generation knows how to fight. I think they play video games where they've always got another man. I think that they just have no idea of actual repercussions. And I think that he brought a knife to a track meet. Well, first of all, why has he got a knife? I've heard that. Why is he bringing a knife to a track meet? And I'm like, man, I don't know. But you ever dump out a kid's bag, book bag? Well, there's all kinds of shit in there. They got everything in there. So I don't know. He brought that knife intending to stab him. There is no evidence of that. There is no evidence. We don't have any real public evidence at all, other than now we're 3 weeks out and both families are being absolutely tortured. Both families have been victims of swatting. Can you imagine that? Austin Metcalf's parents, they've got a dead kid. They've got a dead child. And somebody's out there fucking swatting them. 3 o'clock in the morning. SWAT team is kicking in their door because somebody called and said that there's a mass shooting at the... Same thing is going on for Carmelo Anthony's family. His family. I know you want to project all kinds of things. You've made up your mind about him. He's the worst thing that's ever lived. So obviously his little sister is the worst and his parents. This story, and you knew it from the beginning, this story is being used by a lot of immoral people to create an even wider divide within the community up there in Frisco. And I wanted to talk about it because of something that happened over the weekend. So over the weekend, there was a big rally up there in Frisco. And it was a pro-Austin Metcalf rally. Austin Metcalf is the victim of this senseless murder. And it's kind of weird. It was like it was in the parking lot of Kuykendall Stadium where this occurred. Kuykendall Stadium is a community shared football facility. It's beautiful. It's Frisco. Everything up there is beautiful. So they got a bus in Kuykendall Stadium out in the parking lot, and these people, some organization, the blacks are trying to kill us organization. It's one of those. It's a white supremacist organization. And so they wanted people to come out and get them all riled up there. And luckily, fucking nobody showed. It was like sparsely attended. There was no need for these dudes to be standing on this bus with their bullhorn. The black man is trying to get... I mean, that's basic. I'm going to show you it. So, this is me telling you first, but you're going to see it. But here's the thing. The person who organized this rally on Saturday in Frisco is running for office. He's running for office. He's running for Congress. In fucking Florida. In fucking Florida. Why is somebody running for Congress in Florida, which, the job of a congressman? A job of a congressman is to serve his congressional district, to really only be interested in what's happening in his congressional district. But somehow this 28-year-old right-wing fucking troll has now found himself into politics, and he's running for Congress in Florida, and he's coming here to North Texas to stir us up. We can't even fucking vote for this guy. What's he doing? He's trying to make money. He's trying to get a bunch of racists in North Texas to donate some money to his race or whatever. That's what it is. So there's absolutely zero purpose for this motherfucker to be here other than to try and shit in our own backyard. So he's here trying to stir up this white supremacy thing while running for Congress in Florida. And nobody's showing up. And the people that did show up, they're all wearing masks because they're too cowardly to have the courage of their convictions and actually be seen supporting something. So in the middle of this thing, this pro-Austin Metcalf rally, attended by about 15 people in masks, where you have this wannabe congressman from Florida up there on this bus. Oh, by the way, the guy up on the bus with him was a black guy. That's right. It was a Justice for White People rally, and the two people up there was a congressman from Florida and just some rando black dude. Let's just call him Samuel L. Jackson in Django, because he's up there. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So again, it's a pro-Austin. Actually, it's not. What it is, it's a let's fucking hate on black people rally. The black people are killing white people rally. That's what it is. They're putting that shit out there. In our backyard, they're coming doing this stuff. So Jeff Metcalf, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite people on the fucking planet, he's the father of Austin Metcalf. Jeff Metcalf has carried himself. Well, I know he showed up to the family. Yeah, but he didn't make a stink. Shut your mouth when you're talking about Jeff Metcalf or his wife or their family. Those people have gone through shit, okay? He's carried the morning that this happened, the father of Austin Metcalf, Jeff, was standing on his front yard preaching for peace, civility, and, let's wait to see what this is. This is terrible. I love my son. The day his son was killed, he wasn't out there going, well, we got to get all them. No, he's a gentleman. He's a smart, sophisticated, decent, God-fearing Christian man whose son has just been murdered, and he is behaving like a goddamn general in this war for civility. So, of course, wannabe congressman from Florida, he's out there in front of his 15 people standing on the top of his school bus with his bullhorn. White people unite! Doing all that. He starts talking shit about Jeff Metcalf. He starts talking shit about the father of the dead kid, that they're all there supposedly because they're horrified by the passing of. Starts talking shit about Jeff Metcalf. So one of Jeff Metcalf's friends is there just watching, and he gets Jeff Metcalf on speaker. And he tells the dude up on top of the bus preaching to 15 people about how we all need to kill each other. He goes, hey, I got the dad right here. So dude comes down, and because, this was a viral moment, he sensed that this is going to be a viral moment. This wannabe congressman from Florida comes into North Texas and has a conversation with the father of the dead boy in front of everybody. And we've got it. And I want you to hear this conversation. I want you to hear Jeff Metcalf, the father of Austin Metcalf, the way he talks to these fucks on the right who are trying to use this to raise money for their own out-of-district races and just to keep us all fucking stirred up, just to keep us fucking hating each other. Frisco police, God love them. The Frisco police are like, look, fucking calm down, everybody. We have released nothing. Anything that you see floating around online about these people's back is not coming from us. All right, so let's watch this. This is actually, I hope the sound works good. This comes from Kira. Kira covered this really well. First of all, let me show you these two guys. Here, I'll show you. These are the dudes that came into our backyard. Sorry. There they are. Yeah, look at them. There they are. Those are the two dudes who came into our backyard to tell the white people of North Texas that black people are trying to kill you. That's it. Look at that guy in his red tie. Guess who he votes for? The red fucking tie, signaling exactly the kind of people that he's trying to connect with. Up there on a school bus in an empty Kuykendall Stadium talking about how we need to start a race war. That's essentially what he's pulling for. Well, Pugs, he never said that. Oh, fuck you. He's a politician. He stopped just short. I know exactly what he was saying, and so do you. All right, so let's listen to this conversation between this fucking scumbag who may be somebody, I don't know, man. Where's a good guy with a gun when you need him? When this fucking clown from Florida is standing on the top of he's clear shot, man. He's out there in the open. Fucking piece of shit. All right, here you go. Let's listen to this. Let's listen to Austin Metcalf's father talking to that guy. Okay, this is, oh, yeah, they got a whole video here. Oh, this is great. All right, hold on. I'll pull this up for you. Again, this is the Protect White America rally in Frisco from Saturday. Supposedly in defense of what occurred to Austin Metcalf. So here is a wannabe congressman from Florida talking to the father of a dead boy. Here you go.
Hey, Jeff, it's Jake Lang here.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
Jeff, first of all, my entire heart rests in your hands. I would be in my position. not even as somebody even knew your son, but somebody that it shares the same understanding. I grew up as a 17-year-old young white man too, and I grew up in fear of my life around black people because they were killing and robbing people around me all the time. And I don't understand, as I was a father, you could sit idly by and not condemn the culture that killed your son. There is an epidemic problem in this country, and your voice could be one of the loudest voices in this country, but you've chosen to recoil out of fear and
more cops than people. There's like 2 cops for everybody that showed up at this thing. And what are you doing, Frank? I see you in the chat room. Frank, you're not a white guy. Frank is like making excuses. Well, there was a Rough Rider game. Otherwise, white people like me, Frank, we'd be out there. They don't like you, Frank, and yet you carry water. But okay.
continue the suppression. Why will you not stand with me and with the rest of the people? We're not calling for racial divide. We're not calling for hatred. We're saying 350,000 attacks on white people by black people a year in this country is wrong. Why can't you stand that and say with that? Maybe you can. Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual?
This guy is trying to raise money for a congressional race in Florida by coming to Frisco and talking this way to a father whose son was murdered. This is
interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point. God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today.
Get him, Dad!
Are you done?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, my turn to speak. You are part of the problem, my friend. You're trying to create more race divide than bridging the gap. I do not condone anything you do. You do not have any...
That's called white guilt.
No, let it talk. Of my son, let me finish. I give you your time. You take my son's face off your website. I am not associated with you.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir. You are creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness.
In history, this is the shift where white people will no longer.
All right. God bless the Metcalf family. God bless them. And fuck these fucking race baiters, these fuckers from out of our backyard. They're from Florida. Fuck them. God damn it. All right. All right, here's Frank. Here's Frank making his excuses. The white people rally was set up and weird. Frank knows. What are you on the fucking mailing list, Frank? Frank, you're Filipino or some shit. You're not even a white guy. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Rough Riders were playing in Frisco. Yeah, the Rough Riders are a good time. Avoid this whole tired head. Oh, Frank. There you go, Frank. There you go, Frank. See, I was using Frankie to trigger me, and it turns out Frankie had the right thought. Frankie's right. Frankie's right. Avoid this whole tired head event. Sorry, Frank. Sorry, Frank, for pointing out to you that you're not white. I hope that doesn't hurt you. I don't think it should. I think you're a handsome young man of mixed Asian and Caucasian heritage, and that, I believe, are the most beautiful people. You've heard me say it a lot of times. You mix an Asian with a white dude, and you're going to get a really hot girl. All right. Austin Metcalf stuff. God, it's so ugly, man. And I am glad to see, though. I am glad to see that this stuff isn't... I'm glad to see that was sparsely attended, right? It's a beautiful day. You wanted to go out and hate. It would have been a great day to go out and hate, but it doesn't look like the Frisco community is taking the bait. From, once again, the guy running for Congress from Florida. Florida. All right. Let's see here. What is another big... this was interesting. Okay, so there's been a new study released. It's talking about college. Now, I've got a kid in high school, and, he plans on going to college, and he wants to go to college, and, love for him to go to college, and, scholarships would be great and all that stuff. But I do want my son to go to college. Now, there is a big story here about how... And I don't disagree. I got to be honest. Not everybody needs college. I've been saying this for a long, long time. This idea that the only way to judge your child a success is if they get out of high school and then go on to college is bullshit. And it seems to be a narrative that was set up by the banks trying to make sure we all take out student loans. It's nonsense. College degrees do absolutely nothing for you anymore. And by the way, everything that we're going to college to study is about to be replaced by fucking AI anyway. So no, I don't know that college is all that important. I do think trade schools are great. Now, having said that, I do see a different role for college in this. We were just talking about Gen Z. Like, I want my son to go to college. Well, why do I want my son to go into debt? No, I don't want any of that stuff. But I do want my son to go to college. Why do I want my son to go to college? Because of everything that I just told you about Gen Z. They have no social skills, okay? We got to start holding kids back until we can send them out into the world believing that they know how to interact and behave appropriately. I think college right now in 2025 is pretty much the only place where we can send our kids, where we can be assured that they're having some kind of real social interaction with their peer group. Learning how to get turned down by girls, learning how to ask a girl something, just all of these things that these kids don't have because they're not face to face, because they don't have the butterflies, because they're not nervous, because they're not sweaty palms. All of these things that shape who we are and how we interact with one another, these kids don't have. And I love my kid, and I think my kid is a charming, wonderful young man, and he's very smart, and I think that he could benefit from college because he is very smart. So let's fill his head with as much smart stuff. But the most important thing for me isn't send him to college so that he can get a job and make good money. That is 1980s thinking, and that was a lie in 1980. I want my son to go to college so that he can have an experience with his peer group. That isn't, from a chat room. Laying in bed on his phone. I mean, he seems to be having a good time, which makes it even more distressing for me. This is fun. You don't want to be, I think of all of the guys, and I know you guys know this too, because you guys did it. Think of all the times you and your boys, or you and your girls, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not gender specific, but think of all the times when you were 15, 16 years old, just hanging out in the same room, whether it was a bedroom, whether it was a basement, a living room, because mom, dad don't get home from work until 6 o'clock and you're there after school watching MTV or whatever. They don't do that anymore. They don't do that. They see each other in schools, and then they play sports together, and then everything else is done digitally. So I do believe that the college experience for creating a well-rounded, socially competent person is still important. I do not believe that college is important any longer to ensure that they'll have a happy life and a good life. That's just not that bullshit. That is a lie. With that said, I'm not alone, apparently. College is, for men especially, it says here, men opting out of college isn't a new phenomenon. Women have outnumbered men in undergraduate enrollment for about 40 years, and the gap continues to widen. Almost half of women aged 25 to 34 have earned a bachelor's degree. For men, the rate is 37%. All right, so it's like 50% of women, 25, 34, have a bachelor's, and only 37% of men. Between 2011 and 2022, the number of Americans attending college dropped by 1.2 million, with men accounting for almost the entirety of that drop. Okay, so traditionally, men didn't feel okay, so there's a whole subset of men who never were going to go to college, right? This is the group. It's a big group of American young men who are going to graduate high school, join the army, and then, get a trade job with dad's union, right? Something like that. There's just a lot of people who are like that. And then there's a lot of people who are like 18, I'm going to start my own business. And they start the grind at 18. So that whether they're going to, if they're successful by 22, when everyone else is getting out of college and, they're starting that first job. You got the kid who didn't go to college and he started that. I don't know, juice bar on the corner that he's now got 3 locations. So there's that. There's the hard work, the sweat equity. This is America. You can start a business. You can do anything. So there's that idea that men have always had, which maybe stopped them from going to college at the same numbers as women. What are women doing? Here's what women are doing. Women are going to college because they're waiting to get married. Oh my God, he's such a misogynist. Oh, fuck you. That is the absolute truth. The absolute truth is that men, a lot of men in this modern Western culture, 18, get up, get a job, get out there, do something, start your life. Women still are like, I want to get married and have babies. Some, not all. I'm just saying some. And that's the reason why I think women in larger numbers have over the past 40 years gone off to college. Because it's like, oh, you're 18. What are you going to do? Go to welding school, right? She's not going to welding school. So she's going to go to college, take some courses. Maybe she'll meet a nice boy. He'll get a good job on Wall Street and she'll move with them, right? That's sort of, and I'm not saying every woman. That's not every woman, but that is a large portion of, our society and how young women, especially now, it seems like there are more of that. There's more women who are absolutely being honest. And what do I mean by that? They don't want to work. Men don't want to work. This idea that it's somehow a crime for a woman to be, what do they call them now derisively? Trad wives. Kidding me? There's nothing wrong with that. If a woman wants to be a banger in the house like Martha Stewart and raise the kids and be involved in all of that shit, that's fucking real work. That's a real job. That's a real contribution. Men can't do that though. I've often wanted to be a trad husband, or I guess I'd be a non-trad husband. I've always wanted that. I would love to be like the man of some like super high-powered female attorney who's like all sexy and she's working all the time. She comes home, I'm making roasts. I just come out, look at me. I made you a roast, baby. We're going to have a roast and then we're going to watch The Righteous Gemstones. And then you gotta go to bed because you got an early meeting. Not me. I'm the trad husband, raising the kids. We won't have kids. We'll have a Chinese kid. That's right. In my fantasy, we've got a little Chinese adopted kid. And he's going to be 16. And let's be honest, he's going to be doing most of the housework. All right. That's my dream. Anyway, college, new studies say that men are just not going to college in the way they used to. Here's a fun one. This is a fun story. This is here's why I love this story. Okay. Because this has always been like one of my high thoughts. Like when, like from the earliest time, like when you first like get high, you're like, man, I'm thinking about things that I've never thought about before. So one of my earliest high thoughts is, what if aliens come down here, right? And like their doors open up to their spaceship and they come out and they're like, huh? What if one of the things that the aliens have is a new color? What if there's a new color? I mean, we've seen all the colors. We know all of the colors that exist in our natural world because of the way light reflects against the sun and prisms and blah, 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 and all that stuff. We understand the prism and the rainbow and all. What if they got a new one? What if like an alien comes down and they're like, this is Blacknick? And we're like, that is the most amazing color. Also, fruit. I don't know. For some reason, I think that like if I went to an alien planet, what if they had a new fruit? Like, what if they gave me like a new fruit and they're like, here, taste this. And I'm like, and it tastes like nothing I've ever had. New flavors and new colors. Now, Pugs, why are you talking about new colors? Because scientists believe they've created a new color. That's right. We got a new color. Alien color alert. We've got a new color. Don't get excited. I'm going to show you the new color. And it's not even the new color, because apparently the new color that science has discovered can only be seen through like by having lasers shot into your eyes. I'm like, that's not a new color, dude. That's eye damage. That's retina damage. You didn't see a new color. You have retina damage. So these scientists were shooting lasers into their eyes trying to find a new color. Apparently they know what they're doing, whatever. And they came up with a new color. And so I'm going to show you the new color, and you're going to be like, that's not a new color. I feel like there's a car in the parking lot right now with that similar color. Anyway, here's what they say. They say they discovered a new color. Scientists claim to have discovered a new color. This comes from England. This comes from England where they can't spell color properly. Color is spelled C-O-L-O-R. That's it. It's not spelled color. In England, they spell it C-O-L-O-U-R. And quite frankly, they're probably right because it is called English after all. You know, they had it first. It's a shade of blue-green that's described as jaw-dropping and incredibly saturated. But some dispute the find. All right, so science, they're mad at each other. A bunch of scientists are like, it's a jaw-dropping new color. And then other scientists are like, no, it's not. And I'm kind of with the, no, it's not. That's not a new color. I think that's the Miami Dolphins color. It's like a color that I've seen before. I'm like, I've seen that color. Scientists claim that they've discovered a new color. A team at the University of California, Berkeley, had laser pulses fired into their eyes. See? Isn't that a new color? It's retina damage. This is just the after effects of you burning your retinas. A team at the University of California in Berkeley had laser pulses fired into their eyes, enabling them to experience a color no one on Earth had ever seen before. The 5 people who had seen the color described it as blue-green. Well, what are they going to? They described it as blue-green, but said that description does not capture the full richness of the experience. Oh, fuck you, right? Hey, how was the Aerosmith concert last night that I didn't go to? Oh, you missed it. I could tell. Sure, you know all the songs they would have done, and sure, you've seen them 5 times, but I couldn't properly explain to you the full richness. Oh, fuck you. Stop it. You're only overselling it because you're one of the idiots who allowed lasers to be fired into your eyes so that you can see this new color. And now you're like, oh, it's amazing. Yeah, well, you're going to be blind for the next 6 weeks. Hope it was worth it. Oh, it was. It was jaw-dropping. 5 people. The 5 people who have seen the color describe it as blue-green, but said that did not capture the full richness of the experience. Researchers shared an image of a turquoise square that they said best matched the new color, which they named Olo. O-L-O. O-L-O. Olo is the new color. And they say it's blue-green. I promise you that in like paint swatches, it's gonna be called Olo green. It's not a new color. Researchers shared the image called Olo. Ren, this is a dude's name. This is a guy's name. Ren, like Ren and Stimpy is his first name. Ren, and then his last name is N-G. NG. I know that's like Cambodian or something, but whatever. NG. You know, how do you even is it Ren? All right, anyway, Ren, an electrical engineer at the university, described the color as jaw-dropping and incredibly saturated. He told The Guardian, "We predicted from the beginning that it would look like an unprecedented color signal, but we didn't know what the brain would do with that." All right. I think you're overhyping it. Some scientists have disputed the find. They're saying that it's not a new color, says John Barber, a vision scientist at City University. He said it's more saturated green than can only be produced in a single with a normal red. All right, it's color nerds getting into the breakdown of it that we don't care. He also says there is no way to convey that color in an article or on a monitor, said another scientist, Austin Rorda, a vision scientist. Okay, so they're saying that it's not a real color because the only way you can see it is if you have lasers shot into your eyes. All right, are you ready? Are you ready to see the new color? Are you ready to be wowed? Like I said, one of my earliest high thoughts was, what if the aliens show us a new color? And I'm like, oh, that would be so awesome. But then if this was the color the alien showed me, I'd be like, what the fuck? That's the Miami Dolphins. That's turquoise. Blue green. You're trying to call it the headline says they discovered a new color. I feel like I have seen this color. All right, there you go. Oh, very depressing. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? My goodness, look at this. The day is running by. So there was an article over the weekend that I read that I thought was fun. I don't want to get into it here, but I could go on. I might do a special video on this very subject because I didn't really understand it until last week, and now I totally understand it. The article from, who was it from? It was from this was from E-Online. But did they pilfer it from somewhere else? Like, I thought it was like a legitimate. I remember looking at this article and going, oh, that's a legitimate source. This is, anyway, the title of the article, why do we all hate Katy Perry so much? Why do we all hate Katy Perry so much? And I wanted to go into it because I'll tell you why I hate Katy Perry so much. And by the way, I don't really hate Katy Perry so much. I've never really had a hot take on Katy Perry until recently when she's received all of this blowback for the stupid space mission. I like some of her songs, you know. She's got some, you know, but I'm not a fan. I'm like, we gotta go see Katy Perry live, right? Not my thing. But she's fine. She's attractive, right? I think she's attractive. I think she's Hollywood attractive. Meaning, I think that if she wasn't Katy Perry, a big giant pop star, I think she might be, you know, a doable bartender. I think you'd be like, yeah, you know, because I think that she's benefiting a lot from like high-end stylists and makeup and clothes and hair and, you know, plastic surgery, all this. I just think that left to her own devices, she's an Akron 7. There you go. I think Katy Perry is an Akron, Ohio 7, which would make her a Dallas 5, which would make her an LA 4, which would make her a Miami 3. Oh my God. Anyway, I don't want to go into why everybody hates Katy Perry. I will say this. You want to know why everybody hates Katy Perry? Let me see if we got this. Here's what really made me grossed out by Katy Perry. I can't find it. Where's the picture? All right. Anyway, long story short, Katy Perry's taking a whole bunch of crap from a whole bunch of celebrities. Celebrities are just basically pounding her for being an idiot, and I agree. Olivia Wilde, Amy Schumer, Olivia Munn are all out there on Twitter and Insta or whatever it is that they use, talking about how she's just a fool and blah, blah, blah. And anyway, okay, I just want to move on. Here's why I think she's a fool. That moment where she was in space and everybody's free floating and Katy Perry just kind of floats in front of the camera with a daisy. You remember that? She's like, Daisy. I just wanted to punch her in the face, and I've never wanted to punch a woman before, but it was just so, what her whole, she's just got a very weird on the spectrum vibe. Let's just say that. Katy Perry, I think, is on the spectrum. I think that Katy Perry is a talented woman who has been allowed to be, you know, a big star, but in reality, she's a fucking weirdo who does things like float with a daisy and go, Daisy, Daisy. You're in fucking space. It's so weird. She's so weird. Like, I represent everything that's beautiful, Daisy and peace and nice. Shut up! You're a rich woman. You're not taking this seriously. We watched Apollo 13 specifically because my son and I were joking about, what if something went wrong up there? Do you think those 4 broads would have been able to fix something? What if the CO2 levels inside that spaceship, just like Apollo 13, what if the CO2 levels were dropping and that they were basically poisoning themselves with each exhale? Do you think that those women would have been able to, with the stuff that they had in there, been able to create from scratch a whole new CO2 processing filter? I don't think they would have, because they're not real astronauts. Remember when they went up and I was like, look, if this is good for space travel, if this is, you know, gets people interested, then okay, I'm all for it. But let's not kid ourselves. They're not astronauts. They're passengers. Okay. Nobody's flying shit. They've basically just been shot out of a cannon into the sky and then they're going to drop back down. There is no pilot. There's nothing. These are passengers. Okay. It's an amusement park ride. That's what it was. So now the dust has settled. It's been a good week. We know how the people reacted to it. The people have reacted to it not in the way that I had hoped, which would be, yay, space. People have reacted to it with, fuck these people. So here we are. They're not astronauts, okay? You know why? Because it ain't easy to be an astronaut. That is the thing that bothers me. It means something to be an astronaut, to go through the astronaut corps. It means, first of all, you're really fucking smart. You're good with math, okay? First and foremost, you're really good with math. Secondly, you got balls like steel fucking bowling pins. Pins? That'd be weird. You'd probably see a doctor if that was your problem. Anyway, it used to mean something. You were a badass. You were a test pilot. You were a fighter pilot. You did math. You were a scientist. You had multiple degrees. You went through all the training. You were in the Vomit Comet. You did all of that stuff. No, Gayle King is now an astronaut. Gayle King, ladies and gentlemen. Gayle King is up there with Armstrong and Glenn and Shep and Gus and all of them. Buzz and Gayle King. They were passengers on an amusement park ride, and my hopes were that this would be embraced and people would get excited about space travel. But now that as the dust has settled, people have not gone in that direction. They've just gone with that stupid, you people are stupid. So let's get back to focusing on SpaceX and their heavy fuel. Let's get back to focusing on SpaceX and the Falcon Heavy. Let's see if we can get that thing 10 out of 10. I want 10 flawless Heavy Falcon launches for SpaceX. But that's boring. See, that's not exciting. It's counting successful launches for the rocket that is supposed to take us to the moon and then onto Mars. 10 successful launches of that, which we haven't had one. We haven't done it yet. They keep blowing up. But if we can get 10 of those, that's progress. 10 in a row. We can do it now. But that's boring. You know what's not boring? Katy Perry. Floating around with her daisy. Holding her daisy. Let's see here. This was funny. So there was did you guys okay, so I know we had a bad weekend. We had bad, whatever. Mavs are gone. All right, let's move on. Let's move on from the Mavs season. All right, moving on. Still got the Stars. Stars got a home game tonight. Very exciting. Dallas Sports, you're still alive. You got the Stars playing tonight. I know they lost on Saturday, but they got a chance. Come on. Got a chance tonight. I love NBA broadcasts. I think TNT or whatever that is now. Then I know they're still on TNT for one more year, or is this the last year? And then next year they jump to, I don't know, Fubu. I have no idea where I'm going. What's that? I love Ernie, and I love that dais that they have set up with the it's almost, it's not always rotating, but if you give me Ernie, Charles, and Shaq, I'm pretty good. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be a fun. I don't even care about what's going on with Golden State or Oklahoma City. I don't care. They're just fun together. And they did something. Was this Saturday night or when was this? I don't know. It was going around today. Awful announcing has it. Apparently, they got a little too comfortable clowning around on set. And here, let's watch what happens. This is just primo. This is prime. Shaq and Charles Barkley just busting each other. Where is it? Nope. Boop. Yeah, we'll do that one. All right.
Off the Cleveland
Here we go. Let's
bench.
watch this.
DeAndre Hunter did not score off the Cleveland bench in this one.
Billy Ray Bates was built like a truck. Yeah, I wonder if he's still alive. This is a fair question. No, but not on national television.
Yeah, not unless you know the answer.
All right, so are you following here? They were just showing some stats from the past, and Charles Barkley openly wondered on TV whether or not Billy Ray Bates was still alive. He's like, I wonder if he's even still alive, which everyone else on the panel is now like, dude, what if he's not? I mean, what are you fucking just, So Charles kind of just got a little comfortable. He said something that was a little bit off color, inappropriate, and Ernie is kind of checking him here. But let's see what Shaq does.
This is a fair
Absolutely.
Great
This
name.
one.
Yeah. Billy Ray Bates was built like a truck. Yeah, I wonder if he's still alive.
Absolutely.
This is a fair question. No, but not on national
Not,
television.
yeah, not unless you
under your breath.
not
Maybe
unless you
Google
know
it.
the answer.
I don't know the answer. That's why I asked.
I know.
You don't say that.
You do
I'm
not
sorry to
need
hear
to
that.
ask a
I'm
question
sorry, I
like
didn't know
that.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Unfortunately,
Huh?
he passed away.
Thank you, Shaq. I just asked a question. I wasn't trying to be whatever.
You ever heard of asking a question in a commercial break? Possibly.
We had his name on there. You ever heard of Koof? The word. You don't have any. I can't even ask questions.
No,
now.
you can't ask that one.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Social skills.
Oh, forgive me, y'all.
121-100 is your final score. The Cleveland Cavaliers take game one over the.
All right, so let me recap here again. We'll show it one more time. Charles Barkley openly speculated as to whether or not Billy Ray Bates, former NBA player, was still alive or not. Everybody said, you can't do that. You can't just sit here. What if he's dead? You can't just do that. And then Shaq, did you notice? Shaq chimes in with, he's dead. Shaq points out that the dude is dead.
The word.
I know.
You don't say that.
You do
I'm
not
sorry to
need
hear
to
that.
ask a
I'm
question
sorry, I
like
didn't know
that.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Unfortunately,
Huh?
he passed away.
Thank you, Shaq. I'm sorry to hear that.
Unfortunately,
Huh?
he passed away.
Thank you, Shaq.
All right, so Shaq now, just, with the information, hey, just so you know, Charles, yeah, he is dead. Really good. Nice job. Nice job. So this is Shaq. He's not dead, okay? Just so he's not dead. Billy Ray Bates is not dead. He's still alive, and Shaq was just screwing with him. Shaq did, here's my point. Charles Barkley, what he did was a bit inappropriate. You maybe don't want to do that. You don't want to go there because if you don't know, then maybe it's a really sad story and that he's not there, and you don't need to bring that up, especially in the closing minutes. Okay. They turned it into a fun little thing where it's now let's make fun of Charles. That's a good way to go out. Let's make fun of Charles for not being classy, for being, uncouth, as they called him there. But then in the middle of all this, Shaq throws fuel on the fire by just throwing some bullshit out there. Shaq is like, yeah, he's dead. He's dead. Just so we all know, he's dead. He's not dead. Billy Ray Bates is alive. Shaq was just. So my point is this. Charles is the one taking all the heat. Charles didn't do anything wrong. Shaq is the one who openly lied about the man being dead. Imagine if you were friends of Billy Ray Bates, you hadn't seen him in a while, and you're watching basketball and Shaq is like, he's dead. You're like, oh shit, my friend is dead. Shaq is the one who did the real crime here, not Charles. Charles said something stupid he could have apologized for and left it at, yeah, we don't know, never mind. And we'll see you next week. He could have just done that. But no, Shaq is the one who put the misinformation out there in an attempt only to make Charles feel worse. I think that was Shaq's intention. Shaq was just trying to make Charles feel bad about it by saying, yeah, he's dead. Feel bad. Meanwhile, Shaq's not even thinking about how he's now the bad guy because they're. Well, yeah, Barney. Barney says that now the white guys are scolding the black man for it. Yeah, that's right. Jeff Ballard out here in these mean streets of the chat room sticking up for Katy Perry. Yeah, good hill to die on there, idiot. Jeff Ballard fights the weirdest battles. He's like, I'm gonna argue about this. Katy Perry's daughter's name is Daisy. It doesn't. Katy Perry's a retard. Okay, Jeff? And you're a daisy. All right, let's keep going. I'm kidding. I love Jeff. I can be hard on Jeff because we have an understanding. All right, what else do we have here? I guess that's going to be it. I guess. Oh, no. WrestleMania. Yeah. Oh, no. Wait, we got a couple of more things to do. Okay, never mind. Scroll down to the bottom, Pugs. You'll always find more things to talk about. Let's do WrestleMania. All right. I had such a good time on Saturday. I hate wrestling. Wrestling is stupid. I've always been like, this is dumb. All right. But my kid is really into wrestling. He's 15. And I guess when I was 15, I was into it too. Macho Man and all that. So I was into it at 15. I got out of it like, I'd say 18, 17, 18. That's when I started to go like, oh, okay, I'm going to go do other things. I don't need wrestling anymore. It seems silly and fake anyway. Anyway, my son, 15, he's all into it. He's very excited. My son's favorite wrestler on the planet is CM Punk. Woo! He loves CM Punk. And, I guess CM Punk's all right. So anyway, apparently WrestleMania is now what? A full weekend event? Because I thought it was Saturday night. Turns out it's Saturday night and Sunday night. It's kind of like Lollapalooza or Coachella or something. There's like multiple nights. Held in Las Vegas, Saturday night. This was the one that my kids seemed to be most interested in. Saturday night featured I don't know, 3 guys in the cage. It was the ring. It was 3 guys. It wasn't just one-on-one. It was like 3 guys just beating the shit out of each other. And it's 3 very big names in the world of wrestling. Even I, as a non-wrestling freak, I knew the name CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. So these are 3 really big guys. My kid is like all in. He's like, Dad, you don't understand. Punk hasn't been in a WrestleMania since blah, blah, blah. And he left the company and blah. And there's all this crazy backstory concerning a guy by the name of Paul Heyman, who's a fat old man who was apparently a wrestling manager. And he was Roman Reigns' manager, but then he betrayed Roman Reigns. And now he's CM Punk's manager. And he was CM Punk's manager anyway before he was Roman Reigns. Anyway, it's all very convoluted. He told me the whole storyline, and I went, oh, Seth Rollins will win this. And he's like, what? Seth isn't even one of the major players in this, Dad. Seth is only in there because, they needed a 3rd guy. I go, Seth is going to win this, just so you know. It's like, Dad, you don't understand it. The whole, couple of months leading up to this, it was all about, CM Punk and Paul Heyman. It was about Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. You got to understand, Dad, those 2 are fighting over him. And I go, yeah, that's why Seth is going to win. He was so mad. Why do you ruin everything? I go, I'm not ruining anything, kiddo. I'm just telling you that's the better story. The better story that allows them to sell more tickets for more of this down the road is that neither CM Punk or Roman Reigns wins. The question as to whose allegiance Paul Heyman has is still up in the air, and you get an unknown, or not an unknown, but an unexpected victory. I go, that's the best story to tell. He got really mad at me, and then he didn't talk to me for like 10 minutes. And then I was proven right. He also got mad at me because, kickouts. Kickouts are when they're about to be counted out. 1, 2, 3, you're out. That it always gets to 1, 2. And then on the 3rd one, the guy kicks out, and it's like, ah. So the first kick out occurred, and I said to my son, I go, over under 10 kickouts in this match. Will there be 10 more times where we think it's over? And so he's like, stop it. I'm like, no, man, I'm telling you, there's going to be over under set at 10. And I'm saying we're going over on the kickouts. He didn't like it. We went 11 on the kickouts. We had 11 kickouts. 11 times you thought it was going to be over. 11 times it was 1, 2, and then before the 3rd one, he kicks out. He didn't like that either. I'm like, I told you, I told you Seth Rollins was going to win. I told you there was going to be 11 kickouts. I took the over on kickouts. And then that was just Saturday. And then Sunday, apparently you had John Cena and Cody Rhodes for some made-up championship. Whatever. I'm into it now, though. I am into it. I had such a good... Let me tell you this. As a guy who mocks wrestling, let me tell you this. It was 5 hours. This went on for 5 hours. This thing started at 5 o'clock on Saturday night with some weird pregame thing that we were watching on YouTube. And then the actual Peacock broadcast started at 6 and went to 10:30? We were there for all of it. And if you're ever being forced to watch something that you don't really want to watch, that can be brutal. But me, as somebody who didn't really have any interest in any of this, it was one of the most amazing and entertaining 4 hours of television that I've ever seen. It was so great. It's just so much fun. It's so much fun. I mean, I still think wrestling is stupid, and but man, oh man, if you are actually forced, I would go to a wrestling match now. I was always like, I don't want to go to no wrestling matches. I don't want to go to no Raw taping. I don't want to go. I've had opportunities, over the years doing radio. We interview a lot of wrestlers, and I never went. I was always like, it looks awful. No, man, it looks incredible. And let me show you something. Adam, of course. Adam's so cool. He's edgy and dark. Wrestling is lame, yet a lot of Broadway theater people seem to love it. So that yells you what you need to know about the art form. Just shut up. Wrestling is fun. It's silly. It doesn't have to be your thing. Adam's like, wrestling is lame. I challenge your definition of wrestling, because there was nothing that I saw that was lame. It was all way over the top. It was all bigger than life. It wasn't lame. Lame is boring. Lame is, no, man. Some of it was cringe. A lot of it was cringe, but I don't know about lame. Let me show you this. So they brought in CM Punk. CM Punk comes in last. They introduced Roman Reigns, the original tribal leader. Roman Reigns comes in, this is cool, and Roman is all serious and stuff, and so I don't really dig that vibe. And then Seth came in. Or wait, did Seth come in first? I don't know. Seth came in. He was awesome. I love Seth Rollins. That dude just makes me laugh. I've seen him in a lot of interviews. He's a big diehard Bear fan, so I like him. Anyway, Seth Rollins comes out and he does his thing. Then they introduce Punk. CM Punk, who my kid was all in for. My kid is there for CM Punk. That's all he cares about. CM Punk's his favorite wrestler of all time. CM Punk's going to kill Roman Reigns, blah, blah, blah. So let me show you this. Let me show you CM Punk, third guy in the ring. He's the last one that they introduced to come into the ring. Let me show you CM Punk's entrance. It was fucking cool, man. It was. Now, you have to understand, CM Punk's entrance music is Cult of Personality. If you don't know wrestling or you don't know CM Punk, then, you might not know that. But CM Punk, his entrance music is the Living Color song, Cult of Personality. So this was CM Punk's entrance at WrestleMania on Saturday. Don't tell me about lame, Adam. This is entertainment at the highest end. CM Punk enters the ring at WrestleMania on Saturday. And I turn to my son and I go, dude, that's Vernon Reed. He's actually got Living Color there playing his entrance music live. Just understand my 15-year-old son, this is his hero. This is his favorite human being on the planet. Not the guy singing, CM Punk. All right, CM Punk and Caleb Williams, if we're being honest. Those are his two favorite. Jelly Roll. All right, there you have it. That's CM Punk. That's entertainment. By the way, did you see the last guy they showed just rocking out there, the old white man with the beard and long hair, and he's just rocking out and the camera's on him. I turned to my son and I go, you see that old white man with the gray beard? He's like, that guy? And I go, yeah. I go, he's basically one of the foremost foundational people in the history of American hip-hop. That's Rick Rubin. Okay? Rick Rubin, Def Jam Records, Rick Rubin. He's like, no way. I'm like, yep, that's Rick Rubin sitting ringside at WrestleMania. It was incredible. It was incredibly entertaining. I'm not a wrestling fan, but I watched 5 hours of that spectacular on Saturday, and I'm not quite as upset about my son being a wrestling fan. I was a little bit bothered by it. I'm like, come on, man, come on. I watched that and I went, no, I get it. They do a really good job. That is entertaining as hell. WrestleMania over the weekend. Here, this was happening in the streets of Dallas earlier today. This comes to us from our friends at Dallas, Texas TV. This was, I don't know, somebody trying to have a viral moment, I'm guessing. This is the second time now in Dallas that this guy has done this. First time was a couple of months ago. Apparently, I don't know, has to have a good night at the poker tables in order to do this. We call it the money car. The money car was out in Dallas. Let's see what he's doing. He's just driving around throwing money out the windows. Money car is back. These people, probably just singles too. And if you're going to be the money car, shouldn't you be a nicer car than like a Honda or whatever the hell this is? Like the money car should be like a Bentley, right? rolls, right? Phantoms. All right, it's out there. Be looking for it. The money car. It's out there rolling around here in Dallas. Guys, that's going to do it. One more time, I want to thank our executive producer on today's show. Today's executive producer was the great Peter. Thank you so much, Peter. Appreciate it. Dropping a little something there in the Venmo, the Cash App. Help out this show. Keep us going if you can. Pledge Week is a mere week or so away, so we'll be asking you hard then. Still shaking the can. Thank you to Peter, our executive producer. Also, tomorrow night, please make your plans. See if you can. Come one, come all, come join us. We're going to be out there at the Back 9 in Addison, 4060 Beltline Road. It's trash trivia with yours truly and Brandon from Sunbrew. We got all kinds of prizes. We got stuff for winners. Everybody's a winner at trash trivia. We're going to have our defending champion, April, out there. Do you think you can beat a girl at trivia? Well, Bill Folk thinks he can. Bill Folk is a 2-time champion of trivia, and Bill will be looking for a little bit of revenge. He got his crown stolen from him by April last week, and Bill's going to be looking to take that crown back. Trivia! 4060 Beltline Road. 4060 Beltline Road, the Back 9. We're out there at 7 o'clock. Games start about 7:30. Runs to about 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever, somewhere in there. It's fun. We're going to have fun. Please come out and help us out. If you support this kind of talk radio, if you support this show, please make it a point to come out tomorrow. Y'all, please help out. I love you. Also, one more time, you can support the show by dropping something in the Venmo or something in the Cash App if that's something that you're into. Whatever. Thank you, Peter. Peter's our executive producer. Thank you. Is Peter? Peter, are you coming to trivia tomorrow? He says, me, Kim, and April will be deadly. All right, very good. Adam, I'm sorry, bud. I don't know what's going on with Adam. I haven't been paying attention. Adam, are you in New York? Are you going to Broadway shows or something? It says on Thursday night, speaking of Broadway, I saw Neil Patrick Harris do a stage dive. Well, I don't have time to investigate that, although every conversation I've ever had with Adam has led me or left me angry. That's not true. I'm sure if I found out more about that little anecdote from Adam, that would be something that he would try to trigger me with. At least 3 people have been killed in the Ukraine by... Okay, never mind. Never mind. I thought we had some real breaking news. It's just more terrible news from the world. All right. April says she's got a full team. There's a full team. Wait. I don't think April should have a team. April does fine on her own. April is the reigning champion of trivia there. All right. Anyhow, that's tomorrow. Back 9, 4060 Beltline Road. Come on, come on. Have some drinks. Have some fun. Support this kind of talk radio. Kind of talk radio doesn't care how you voted. Kind of talk radio just talks about, the world. Just whatever, Nobody's a dick. Actually, I am a dick. I am a dick. I need to stop being a dick. I got to go write trivia questions. I got a big day. I got, at 5 o'clock, I got a very important meeting. Maybe I'll tell you a whole bunch about it tomorrow if it goes well. Well, even if it goes badly, I'll tell you about that too. Yeah. But now I got to work on trivia. I gotta formulate the actual trivia board and categories for tomorrow. So I'll do that. I'll do that until about 5 o'clock. I got nothing else. I don't know. There should be a way for me to end this. Instead, we just stop.